Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and well, in today's video we are going to discuss whether Siege has a future in gaming. Well, the game itself is dying. I don't think anyone can deny that at this point. The player counts are down. It takes quite a while to actually find games, and more importantly, just so that you don't think that I'm talking out of my ass, all you need to do is go to Steam and check out the Steam stats. Like Rainbow Six Siege, for the last 2.5 years, it was incredibly difficult to remove Siege from the top 5. Like, even if some game managed to do it, Siege would be right back in the top 5 in like a week or two. Like, it barely ever remained outside the top 5. But now, things have gotten a lot worse for the Rainbow Six Siege. And right now it is struggling to get into top 15, let alone top 5. Like, yes, it still has good-ish peak player counts, but in general a lot of people are not playing it. Like, a lot more people were playing it before. And there are quite a few reasons why that is happening. And I'm going to get into those in this video. But of course, as for the question itself, does Siege have a future, or does, where do I see this game going in like the next 5 years? I don't think this game is going to crash and burn as soon as people are thinking it is. It still has a respectable player count, and given that what we now know, and as in what is happening with the game right now and what is already announced for the game right now, I do think that this game is going to move in a right direction. It is just that, can it survive this year? If Siege can survive its year 6, I think year 7 is going to, bring it back properly. But, that is the question. Will Siege survive year 6? Which I don't know the answer to that question. And I'll discuss more again towards the later in the video. But before we get more into it, I would just say I enjoy playing Siege and I am looking to start streaming again. So if you are not following me on Twitch, I would suggest you do that. I'll leave the link to the Twitch channel in the description. So yeah, go there and follow me. I'll probably stream at some point. I still have to set up Streamlabs again, so that's not a good thing. But all things considered though, I'll probably stream this game because it's a good game. But let's get on with the actual video. Now, there are a few things that I think is really causing this game to go down and die. One of those being, it's not really attracting new players. Like, yes, people like me sometimes do jump back in, but newer players, especially, I have talked to a lot of people, a lot of my friends, and most of them had the same thing to say, as in, this game is very difficult to understand, and like, they simply do not have the time to just get in and spend that many hours trying to get this game. Try to understand what the hell this game is. Because this is a difficult game to understand because of its destructibility, because of its map design. There are a lot of things, I'm not going to get into it. But the point being, it is difficult for new players to get in. Now, Ubisoft tried to combat that by having a newcomer playlist. But that just made it so that, the Smurfs started going into that. Now, I know some people are going to look at me and say that, hey, you also had a Smurf account. Yes, but I never ever played in the newcomer playlist. A, I only use that account to play with my friends. And B, I have some standards too. I don't want to just increase my carry by killing relatively newcomers. I want to compete with people of my own skill level. The reason why I made a new account is because I just wanted one for solo queuing and one for playing with my friends. That is the only reason why. And so that is why I feel like we need some sort of a game mode where people can come in and really just practice the game, really just understand the basic mechanics in the game, the gadgets, the operators, the guns. Because once you get that down, you at least have some advantage. Obviously, you still need to learn the maps, you still need to learn the tactics, you still need to know exactly what you need to do, which is not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy. Hell, I am 1,700 hours into this game and I still don't know everything. I still learn new things. So yeah, it's not easy. As for us though, the older players, once again we run into a trouble where the game simply isn't exciting enough. Now, why is that? Well, Siege before the last year, literally year 4, till year 4, we used to have a new map every single season and also 2 new operators. So, for any player who was sort of, trying to get into this game and, trying to return to this game more importantly, hey, we have 2 new operators, we have a new defender, we have a new attacker. Maybe they changed the meta a bit. Maybe you want to see how these characters gel into your team. This new map, there are endless possibilities. Maybe this is a really good ranked map, or maybe it isn't, but you spend your time actually learning that map. So there is something to do. But for the last 2 years, this content flow has really slowed down, and this year I would say it has been terrible because we have had no new maps from last year. Basically, we had only 1 operator per season this year, and considering the fact that not even the guns, like we don't even get new guns anymore. All the guns that are added to the operators are recycled weapons from other operators that are already in the game. For a player who wants to come back again and again to this game, why should I? Like, what is this game giving me that is new, and what should I return to this game for? Because there are no new strategies for me to try out, there is no new map for me to try out. And you can say that a map like Favela is basically a new map now, which is, yeah, alright, it is. And I did enjoy playing in the new Favela. It's just that once again, it's not in ranked, and I want to play this game competitively because this game is a competitive game. And yes, casual is fine for practice, but at the end of the day, when I'm trying to compete, I need something new, something that really, I want to learn, which this game hasn't provided me for almost a year now. Now you can look at that and say, hey, COVID happened, things slowed down, obviously. And yes, I can understand that. Obviously, when people transitioned to work from home, things slowed down, so new maps weren't possible. But this was a trend we were seeing in Siege well before COVID was a thing, because recycled weapons, like basically no new operators, we saw this shit before. This is not because of COVID. And I'm going to get to that later as well. So now in the recent AMA though, they were asked a lot of questions, and they did say that there is an incoming team deathmatch mode. Now they didn't really say it exactly like it, but from their statements, I think it is pretty fairly obvious that is what they meant. And that, in my opinion, would be really cool because, it would give those newer players something to really train themselves with. Us older players, we can just jump back into the TDM for training before going into the other game modes, the siege part of Rainbow Six Siege. And they also announced that next year onwards, they are going to invest in new maps, because essentially now the maps that they did have in the game are now up to their standards. So they are going to invest in the new maps. Now there is something to be said about that. They did say that the competitive map pool is good enough at this point that they can just bring in new maps now. And to that I have to say, yeah, okay, fine. The competitive map pool is a lot better than what it used to be, especially with the 3 reworks that are coming next season for Bank, Clubhouse, and what was it? Consulate, I think. I'm not sure. So these 3 maps were confirmed. So yes, it is looking good in terms of the content that is coming, but that is not this year. Like this year, we are still getting map reworks and not new maps. So as I said, this is really about will Siege survive this year? Now for Siege to survive, one of the things they need to do is to tackle cheaters. Because, oh my god, there are so many cheaters in this game. Like if I am encountering cheaters, it is a bad situation because I am not a good player. Like, which should be fairly obvious with the gameplay that you're seeing in the background right now. I am not a good player. I am like high silver, low gold at my absolute best, which I don't often reach. So considering the fact that I am really more of a support player, I'm not really a fragger, I'm not really going to go on a killing spree or something like that. If I am encountering cheaters at my skill level, that means there are a lot of cheaters in the game. Because usually when people start cheating, they go to the higher ranks, not the lower ranks. So there is something to be said about that. And also there are a few other things. For example, the bugs. Now, I am not under the delusion that the bug situation is worse than what it used to be. Like, yes, there are a lot of bugs with the game, especially with sound. Like, somehow I think the sound has gotten worse this season than it was even last season. Like, I'm constantly getting sound bugs now. And even in the replays, like after the death cams, there are weird bugs happening in the replays. So there are a few bugs that were introduced with this latest season. But they say that they are fine, they are trying to fix it, and many people, including me, said that, maybe it's time for Siege to just go away, just make a new game, the Rainbow Six Siege 2 maybe, and start there, make it again from the ground up. But they say that they have made enough adjustments to this engine so that now they can really work with it. And I am inclined to take their word on it, because there is absolutely no reason why they need to switch engines if they are comfortable with one. If they can work it out, if they can work out the issues in this engine, there's no need to change engines, like especially in the middle of the game. So that part is fine in my opinion. But for the future, you do need to fix these things. You do need to fix the sound issues. Because if you are a new player, you are coming into this game and you're trying to learn, you are genuinely trying to learn, and you see shit like this go down, is going to discourage you from playing this game, because you are like, hey, I tried so hard, but the game is screwing me over. So what do? You essentially quit. There are a lot of other FPS games. You maybe try those out. So for a niche game like Rainbow Six Siege, it is very important that it is at least polished. And that is something that Ubisoft definitely needs to work on. And I hope they are working on it. As far as their servers go though, they are saying that they were working on it. And they said that the in-game tournaments and the improved ranked mode, they are both sort of delayed up until they, roll out this background change to their services. Because obviously what they said does make sense. Like, you try to roll out all the in-game tournaments in the current network structure, and you roll out the new improved ranked systems in the current network structure. And then once that is done, once you change the network structure again, once you finished working on that, you have to work on all of this again. So it doesn't make sense to do the work twice. So just improve your systems and then work on it. But once again, that means that we don't know when the in-game tournaments are happening, right? We don't know where the ranked system is really going to improve, because currently, as it stands, I feel like the ranked system really isn't fair or justified. Like, for example, it has happened to me a lot of times, right? Where I am playing a game and I'm genuinely bad in a game, but I won because my teammates were good. At that point, I should not be getting the same amount of points, or I should not be getting the same rank increase as my team if I have not contributed. On the other hand, sometimes I have contributed a lot, I have maybe single-handedly carried my team on my back, and I get fuck all for it. And more importantly, sometimes I am playing really well, my team is not helping at all, something that happens quite a bit in ranked play, especially when you're solo queuing. Now, I'm not one of those people who's going to complain that, this sucks because, I didn't win and my team didn't help me. The team not helping me is pretty obvious. The thing is, I need to be better. I wasn't better, that's why I lost. That is my go-to reason. So the point being, if I'm getting kills, if I'm getting assists, if I'm helping my team out, if I'm playing the objective, that should help me with my ranked score. That is my personal opinion. Like, even if I'm in the losing side, if I played well, then I shouldn't get that big of a reduction in MMR. But if I played worse than all my other teammates and I lost, then I should lose more MMR, because clearly I am not good enough for that skill level. But all of these things would come as improvements once Ubisoft actually decides to do it. and which right now it doesn't look likely that it is coming out this year. So we are going to have to wait for year 7 for this, which once again brings me to my point. What about year 6? Will Siege actually survive year 6? Now look, Siege so far has survived a lot of games. A lot of games have come out. We have seen Warzone come out, Apex Legends come out, and up until basically like last 2 seasons, Siege was doing perfectly well. Like none of these games had any effect on Siege. So the problems with Siege is really with Siege itself and not its competitors. It's not because of the competitors that Siege is losing players. So if they can retain this player count that they currently have, if they don't go further down, I do believe Siege can survive year 6. And if these things that they confirmed in the AMA, if these things are implemented, then yes, Siege can go ahead and become a truly great game again. So yeah, there is a future for Siege. Now I'm going to talk about why there wasn't new content and what Ubisoft should do about it. Now look, the things that I'm about to say here come from my own perspective. I do not know how many people are currently working on this project, either on the testing side or on the development side. The one thing I can say for certain, it's not enough. I don't know how many people are working on it. I don't know how many studios are collaborating. I don't know how many people are in the testing team, but I can tell you this. Whatever that count is, it is not enough or it is not being utilized properly. It's one of those two things. So they need to have more developers on this, because you look at a game like Fortnite, you look at a game like Apex Legends, you look at a game like Warzone, what stands out to you? It is the constant stream of content. Like they are always trying to do something. They are always giving out new content. In Siege, that content has been suffering for well over a year now, and maybe even before that. Like it's been like this for a while now, even pre-COVID. So it is pretty obvious that Ubisoft is probably not spending as much as they should on this game. Like this is one of the top earners for Ubisoft, or so I hear. And considering that, you really should be investing more resources into a game like this. So yeah, hire more people. Don't make one developer do the work for 3 people. Hire 3 people. It's not that hard. Maybe just take that little bit of the CEO's paycheck and actually make sure that your games work. That's all I'm going to say about that. So yeah, that's basically what I think about the game. I do think this game has a future, but that's me being optimistic. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm absolutely 100% sure, because this is Ubisoft we are talking about, and Siege, even with its terrible start, somehow made it into the sensation that it is. But then it is now slipping from that place. So I don't know if it's going to survive. I don't know what's going to happen next. And I'm really hoping that it can survive, because it's a game that I truly love. Like, yeah, I don't really put out much Siege content on my channel. Like, the last video I did on Siege was July 31st, 2020. We are almost a year after that. It's almost a year after that. And considering that, yeah, I know. I should have made more videos on Siege. But the fact remains that I have played this game for more hours than all the Assassin's Creed games combined. And yes, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not kidding. That is actually the case. That should sort of, give you a perspective as to how much I enjoy Rainbow Six Siege and how much I love this game. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from. Well, if you enjoyed this video, then consider pressing that like button. I went up to 161 subscribers. So thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. And don't worry, the other content is coming as well. Of course, NFS Most Wanted. I should have uploaded 2 more videos this week itself, but I couldn't because A, I was sick for the most part, and also B, there are torrential rains going on. Internet is really not at the most reliable right now. In fact, I don't even know if this video is going to go live on Sunday, because it might as well not, because I don't know what's going to happen. But I hope it's going to go out on Sunday. And well, that's all really I can do. I apologize that there have been no videos on my channel, but my channel is doing pretty well thanks to the Black Flag video, which has like 400 views in 48 hours. So like 200 views per day. That's crazy. So all that said though, I hope you enjoyed this video. And once again, if you did, then subscribe. And I will leave you guys in peace.